Now I'm not muted. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Today we're finally starting 428 Shibuya Scramble. I basically know nothing about this game other than that a lot of people seem to like it who've played it. Controller? I might have to relaunch the game. Hold on. Oh, well, hold on. Yeah, my, in the time it took for me to launch the game, my controller disconnected and then it just, I guess, didn't get reconnected. Let's see here. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now we can start. 1. Do you want the guide to gameplay to be displayed? We recommend that first-time players select yes. Yes. This story is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents either are products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Yeah, okay. That's a fucked up logo intro. Why'd they have to do it like that? This intro is very discordant. Certainly is footage of Shibuya. These are opening credits. I can say that much. I need to turn this shit down though, because it's like fucking on my ears. How's the game balance compared to my voice? Why should I let you think about it? Tell me, snack time. I see the Apple Store there. They aren't authorized to use the Apple logo here. Meanwhile, they show off like a bunch of other logos. Oh shit. Uh-huh. So we got a guy kidnapped in the back of a van. Katajima. Okay. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh. 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 Hmm. So we got some terrorism going on. Yeah, no shit, it starts with the... As you play through the game, the various mechanics will be explained. In 428, you follow the stories of multiple protagonists at once. Your decisions impact their experiences as you read the story. What does the day hold in store? Their fate is in your hands. Hopefully you can see them all through to the end. To start, you have two characters, Shinya Kano and Achi Endo. Let's begin by checking out Kano's story. Okay. Just 2 more minutes to go. Shinya Kano noted the time again on his watch, scowling at the slow creep of the second hand. The time was 9:58 a.m. Furrows of consternation creased his forehead. He wasn't nervous, but he knew better than to expect everything to go smoothly. Keeping a level head was proving rather difficult. There was no room for failure. Lives were on the line here. He eyed his surroundings. Was the perp really going to show up? When? Where would he be coming from? How would he make his approach? The Shibuya Scramble was as packed as ever. A throng of people crossing this way and that, blissfully unaware of the dozens of detectives hidden in its midst. Alright, another minute and a half. Kano glanced down at his watch yet again. A mere 30 seconds had passed. Detective Kano had been with the enforcement arm of Shibuya's criminal affairs section for a year now, but he'd never been part of an operation this big before. He eyed the young woman standing beside the statue up ahead. She was small enough to get lost in the crowd, and she carried a nondescript attaché case. Hitomi Osawa, age 19. The attaché case in her hands contained a full 50 million yen in cash. Yesterday, her twin sister Maria had been kidnapped. This was the ransom payment. The culprit had called Hitomi last night at home, referring to her by name and telling her to wait by the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya. It was almost time, but nothing. Kano was staring fixedly at the second hand on his watch when a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk murmured just loud enough for him to hear. Come on, Kano, quit looking at your watch so much. What if the kidnapper sees you? Kano tried to look nonchalant as he lifted his eyes, but the scruffy character continued. You're too nervous, just relax already. You're the one acting suspicious, Sasayama. Kano frowned. Why would some homeless guy be talking to me? Yuji Sasayama was the senior officer of the Shibuya Precinct's Criminal Affairs Division, 5 years older than Kano. Some words and phrases in the text appear in blue. These are called tips. Press X to underline a tip, then press A. Do you mean a reaction? Because where I'm from, we call those reactions. And they're like magenta colored. This will let you read some extra info relating to that word or phrase. There are tips containing general knowledge and ones that are 428 specific. These are marked with magnifying glass and a 428 respectively. X. Oh my god, there's crazy reading in this. Official name, Shibuya Central Precinct. Responsible for the safety of approximately 200,000 people in 32 neighborhoods, including Uehara. There's a lot of reading and a lot of Romanized Japanese city names. Uehara. Do I have to including all the neighborhoods listed? I don't feel like butchering a bunch of these names. Character names, yes. City names, no. Hydrated. Yeah. I should probably... I mean, I do have water here. Mainly ice, though. He always went a little overboard with the disguises. He claimed it was all a part of the job, but word around the station was that he just liked playing dress up. Thank you for reminding me to drink water. Hey pal, spare some change? Sasayama lurched to his feet and shuffled in close to Kano. Hey, knock that off. Fittingly for the part, Sasayama reeked pretty badly. Well, ain't so suspicious now, huh? He clung to Kano in mock camaraderie, despite the younger man's attempts to pull away. Come on, Sasayama, cut it out. Sasayama's blithe confidence rattled Kano's nerves. Of course, there was no good reason for that confidence. This was Kano and Sasayama's jurisdiction, but they were positioned a good distance from where the handoff was to take place. Yeah, I know what jurisdiction means. The Metropolitan Police Department, at the pinnacle of Tokyo's police hierarchy, has vastly more authority than local precincts, but since many officers wind up needing to work with both, the outright rivalry between the two isn't as notable as TV dramas may make it seem. The statue of Hachiko was surrounded by elite investigators from one of HQ's special investigation teams. Sometimes two or more tips will appear on a single screen. Press X repeatedly to change which words are underlined. Highlight the tip you wish to read, then press A. Continue pressing X or press B. Return to reading the story. I wish you could use the D-pad. Bronze statue of a dog, erected in 1934. The dog was famous for loyally waiting for his absent master. Well known as a meetup spot outside of Shibuya Station. Other popular meetup spots at the station are the display car for the original Tokyo 5000 series, commonly known as the Green Frog, and the Moai statue by the west entrance. God, Moai statues give me huge PTSD from that fuck-ass minigame. Here refers to the Metropolitan Police Department, the Tokyo Police Section responsible for managing 101 precincts within the city. Japan's largest police organization. In addition to policing Tokyo, it has various other duties and authorities for maintaining public order in the capital. Kano and his partner were just there to provide backup if the kidnapper attempted to flee. Look, just try to relax. We'll be fine. Sasayama gave him a wink. A moment later, the radio squawked in Kano's ear. Alright, everyone. Wait. Alright, everyone. It's time. Keep your eyes open. Oh shit, we got we got command center here. The voice coming in through the earpiece was Koji Kuze, HQ's operations director. The individual responsible for directing the investigation in the event of a serious crime. If a task force is set up, the operations director is the one who assumes command. TV dramas and other fictional accounts often feature some young prodigy from MPD as operations director, but in reality, the position usually goes to a proven veteran. Until last year, he'd been the Shibuya precinct's head detective and Kano's supervisor. We don't know when the perp is going to make contact. Don't let your guard down. Kuze's low, gravelly voice echoed in Kano's ear. You don't sound too worried, Kuze. Kano winced at Sasayama's words. How could the man be so nonchalant? The appointed time had come and gone. Something should be happening. Whap. Kano smacked himself in the thigh to release a little tension. We need your help, Officer Kano. Kano can't be that young. He has to be in like his late 20s for this shit. At the very least. Can't be 18 and be like a detective. The sound was louder than he'd intended, though the suit hit his muscular physique. It did little to dampen the noise. He needed to stay focused. He might be called to action at any moment. The department handles abduction cases according to a certain standard investigation procedure. Excuse me. Was it an attempt to extort money, or was the motive something personal? The answer to that question determined how they deal with the criminal. And based on the investigation team's initial findings this time around, they probably weren't dealing with a professional kidnapper. Still, in all likelihood, it was someone with quite a long rap sheet. Probably someone who knew the family, but so far they had few leads on who might bear such a grudge. With the situation so unclear, the plan was to apprehend whomever came to make the handoff on site. If the culprit ran with the money, there'd be no guarantee of the hostage's well-being. Oh shit, it auto-saved. Shit's going down. Still nothing, Sasayama muttered. There he is. He's here. Kuze broke in, his voice spiking into an excited chirp. Why is this given like a tip? Kuze's particular vocal quirk. Whenever he gets overly flustered, excited, or panicked, he slips into a childish register prone to begin pinching his voice. Wow. Subject is a young male in his 20s, wearing a bandana and an orange hoodie. Kuze, normally calm and stoic, was now squawking like an excited child. That only happened when he got particularly worked up. Kano and Sasayama steeled themselves. They could see the subject now. 20-something male nonchalantly approached Hitomi to talk to her. All right, people, be ready to grab this guy. Kuze was stationed in the mobile command center not far from the intersection, keeping tabs on the situation via video surveillance from the camera team. The young man started speaking enthusiastically to Hitomi. The detective watched, uncertain. Was this really the kidnapper? You'll encounter selections like this during the story. These choices will change the lives of other people in addition to changing your own fate. Use up and down to make your choice, then press A. The current choice will not impact you or any of the other protagonists. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna go with a B. He doesn't look entirely suspicious. The situation still wasn't entirely clear. He needed to get a better look at things. The newcomer held a bundle of letter-sized paper, which he showed to Otomi as he went on talking. He tried to hand her one of the papers, but she pointedly ignored him. Undeterred, the man kept trying to foist it off on her. Otomi refused to respond, becoming as motionless as the statue of Hachiko behind her, until finally the man gave up and walked away. See? Guess it wasn't him. Kano felt the tension of the moment linger in his spine. Guy must have been hitting on her. Succeeding at meeting someone on the fly like this takes a special knack. Looks are also important. Sometimes also, of course, the person trying to get your attention out of nowhere is just trying to make a sales pitch for a product or a nearby establishment. At first glance, it isn't always easy to tell the difference. I mean, she is pretty cute and all. He had a point. Though, of course, something in Sasayama's voice made Kano brace himself. She's got nothing on my Mi-chan. This fuck-ass music. Mi-chan was Sasayama's wife. They'd gotten married just last month. Let me tell you, Kano, married life is the best. You gotta hurry up and give it a try for yourself. This was Sasayama's favorite topic lately, and Kano was getting more and more fed up with it. Sasayama, come on, just knock it off, okay? The phrase had become a common refrain of his since the department partnered them. Fine, fine. Let's talk about your girlfriend then. Huh? Now? You can't be serious. Sasayama leaned in close again. What's she like? We are not having this conversation. Kano muttered, looking away. Oh, come on. Sasayama set his hand on Kano's chest, still playing the homeless troublemaker. Show me your phone. Let me see your lock screen. Huh? Sasayama pawed for the phone. You gotta pick your girl on your lock screen, yeah? I do not. But he did. It was scary how on the mark Sasayama's instincts were. Hey, cut it out. We're in the middle of an investigation. I am investigating, Sasayama chuckled as he plucked the phone from Kano's pocket. His face scrunched up with astonishment as he looked at the lock screen. The heck is this? It's not... Ain't this Masami Nagahama? A national star, tends to play the heroine on national morning soap operas or in national historical dramas. Her songs have been a series of national hits, and she's even slated to host the year-end national singing competition program. Everything about her is national. Kano realized he had to bite the bullet. No, that's my girlfriend. Her name's Rumi, and she's... Sasayama cut him off. You're telling me this ain't Masami Nagahama, from the famous actress? Because this right here is Masami Nagahama. Like I said, you sly old dog. Trying to make like you're dating Masami Nagahama. I'm not. I mean, I guess Rumi does kind of look like her. Sasayama let out a huff. For real? You really think I'm gonna fall for that? There's nothing to fall for, I swear. Sasayama scowled, unconvinced. Alright, then why don't you marry her? Kano stammered, but he had no answer. Truth was, he would have happily married her already. But there were obstacles that needed to be overcome. Okay, playtime's over. Wait, okay, playtime's over. Let's focus on the job. Sasayama handed back Kano's phone and turned his gaze back to Hitomi. Kano let out a quick, uneasy sigh. But his shoulders did feel looser. Maybe Sasayama had been trying to relieve a bit of the tension. Maybe he should be grateful. By now, several minutes had passed since the guy with the papers had gone away. He peered at Hitomi. The strain on her face was visible. In addition to the weight of the attaché case itself, the 10,000 yen bills it held weighed close to 6 kilos. Her slender arms must have been getting tired. Still, she refused to set the case down. She wasn't taking any chances with her sister's life. The kidnapping case had begun the day before, around 7 p.m. This is MPD Dispatch. The Shibuya precinct is reporting a missing person, believed to be an abduction. In Japanese law, the act of indirectly luring or deceiving someone into the control of a third party is known as kidnapping. Using forcible threats or violence to achieve the same result is known as abduction. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Subject is Maria Osawa, a 19-year-old student at Midoriyama Academy, last seen at the LL Diner near campus. A man was allegedly seen forcing her into a car nearby. All officers in the vicinity report to the scene at once. Kano and Sasayama had been working a burglary case in Jingumai's 5th district when they got the call. Two arrived at the LL Diner at 7:15 p.m. At roughly the same time, several other officers showed up to secure the area, blocking off entry to nearby roadways and monitoring the surrounding establishments. Inside the restaurant, Kano and Sasayama were met by the girl who'd reported the kidnapping. It was the victim's twin sister, Hitomi. Well, then how do you know that's not Maria? How do you know you're not being tricked by them if they're twin sisters? Could you tell us about when Maria was taken, starting from the very beginning? Kano said, keeping his voice low. My sister and I, we were supposed to go to a party together today. Hitomi was trembling, her voice hoarse. But I messed up the time. I showed up right at 7, an hour later than I was supposed to. So Maria had gone alone to a party, a mixer for locals and exchange students. Hitomi, arriving late, had showed up just in time to glance out through the restaurant window and see her sister getting shoved into a car. She described the vehicle as a blue station wagon of Japanese make. Where have I seen that before? Why would something like this happen to her? Hitomi held back her tears, but she was shaking all over. Did you get a good look at the kidnapper? Yes, it was a man, middle-aged. There was another eyewitness, Leland Palmer. He identified himself as a lecturer at Hitomi and Maria's school. I saw too. It's like Hitomi says. I heard Hitomi cry out, and so I went out the window to look, and his Japanese was halting, as if he hadn't been in the country very long. And I think that maybe the kidnapper was working alone. Leland explained that he'd seen the man shove Maria back into the back seat, then clamber into the driver's seat. If he had an accomplice, wouldn't they have been driving? Neither Hitomi or Leland had gotten a look at the suspect's face. Kano was interviewing others who had been on the scene, looking for other potential witnesses when his phone rang. It was Yoshio Kajiwara, one of the senior detectives. We've set up a task force for the investigation. Get back to the station once you have a handle on the situation there. Barely half an hour had passed between the time of the time the kidnapping was reported and the time the task force began operation. Roughly 150 people are working on the case in the Shibuya Precinct's conference room. The main force at work is HQ's first special investigation unit. Additionally, other detective sections, a riot squad, and investigators from neighboring precincts have been assembled. When Kano and Sasayama got back to the precinct station, Kuze had already arrived from HQ. He informed them that a response team had been formed to investigate the victim's home. In a case where someone has been abducted for ransom, it is often difficult to resolve the situation without cooperating with the victim's family. But the family can also be a hindrance in making an arrest. To help guide the family's actions, a response team is assembled and stationed at the victim's home, led by an investigator with the proper training. Alright. Barely half an hour... Kano could feel a peculiar tension in the air. Unfamiliar MPD detectives scurried to and fro around the Shibuya offices. He pulled one of them aside to get a quick update. An hour had now passed since the kidnapping. There had been one new development. The perpetrator made a threatening call to the victim's home. He said the following. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., by Hachiko in Shibuya. Have the sister Hotomi bring 50 million yen. If not, the girl's life is forfeit. Oh my god. Kajiwara from the precinct was put on the response team, along with the detectives from elsewhere who'd received special training in abduction cases. Normally, a local precinct detective wouldn't have gone undercover in a victim's home. Kuze, however, had decided that having a knowledgeable local was crucial, and had sent Kajiwara along. The detectives disguised themselves as delivery people and movers to make their way inside without arousing suspicion, arriving there at 8:30. The response team had come prepared to run a trace if the kidnapper contacted the family a second time. The act of pinpointing the source of an incoming phone call. The police are not allowed to do this independently without oversight. They must go through a formalized process that includes securing the cooperation of the phone company. In the past, conducting the trace itself would take time, but nowadays acquiring the location can be practically instantaneous. But there were no further calls. Kano checked his watch again. 20 minutes had now passed since the time designated for the ransom handoff. The kidnapper had yet to appear. Crap. You think we might have spooked him? He wondered aloud. Hey, stay calm. Sasayama scanned the passing throng. He's just playing with us. Why'd this guy even pick this place? Kano voiced the question he'd been asking himself since he'd heard the kidnapper's demands. Sasayama shrugged. Figure he must want to blend in with the crowd. Nab the money and disappear before anyone knows he's there, would be my guess. In that case, why not pick Shinjuku or Ginza? The big crowd didn't just benefit the kidnapper, after all. It also allowed the police to use the sea of people to conceal their own operation. A crowd of people stood and stared. Right now, there were 50 detectives stationed within a 50-meter radius of where Hitomi stood. The kidnapper would be taking a major risk if his plan was to nab the ransom money and run. That's what bothered Kano. Any criminal with half a brain would know better than to do a handoff in front of Hachiko. You're overthinking things, pal, Sasayama grumbled. No, I'm not. Kano reached into his pocket and pulled out his notepad. This was Kano's Dick Diary, which he always kept close at hand. Sasayama rolled his eyes. That thing again? Kano ignored him, flipping through the notepad pages. Aha! Here it is. Dick Dictum. dictum, and how. Number 89. The more irrelevant something seems, the more relevant it's bound to be. It was a favorite saying of Kyuzo Tateno, an assistant inspector from the Shibuya precinct. Tateno was the kind of detective Kano aspired to be. For the current operation, he'd been placed in charge of Hitomi's personal safety. He was in position to defend her as soon as the ransom had been handed off. Of course, Hitomi hadn't been informed of how much protection she was under. There was a risk that if she acted too secure, it might alert the kidnapper. I think Tateno has the right idea. Sasayama snorted quickly. Maybe. I mean, he's a great detective. Don't get me wrong. Do you know any more how many irrelevant things there are to consider? Again, Kano ignored him. It didn't matter if nobody else understood. Kano had faith in Tateno as both a detective and as an individual. He had first witnessed Tateno's brilliance during a standoff at a financial company 3 years earlier. A man had shut himself in an office, splashing gasoline everywhere and threatening to set the place ablaze. While the others hesitated, Tateno unflinchingly doused himself with gasoline and strode into the building, where he managed to talk the man down and secured the scene. What? That deserves its own movie. Oh my god. The others had been awestruck by Tateno's actions. And Kano, who at the time had been content to be a run-of-the-mill policeman, had found it quite inspiring. Wait a minute, what the fuck? Wait, he doused himself with gasoline and walked into the building and saved this guy? Still, you know. Sasayama muttered under his breath. As a great detective as Tateno is. It's not like anyone else in the world has ever heard of him. I suppose not, Kano said. So... the only time anyone ever hears a cop's name is if he's caught up in some scandal or killed in the line of duty. I mean, doesn't really seem fair, does it? Kano just shrugged. It was a strange definition of unfair, really. I mean, you got celebrity chefs and celebrity hairdressers and stuff. So how come no celebrity gumshoes, you know? Look, please. Can you just focus on what we're doing here? Kano rubbed his eyes, then turned his attention back to Hitomi. What's the matter? Didn't sleep? Not enough, I guess. Did you eat? Didn't have the time. Between bringing in supplies for the base of operations, readying the team's vehicles, photocopying hundreds of documents, and various other tasks. Let me read this. The base of operations is usually set up in a large room with the precinct, which is an auditorium. MPD and precinct investigators assemble there, and communications equipment, investigation resources, and such are brought in because the scale and scope of these activities, newspaper reporters can be liable to notice, and so, in cases such as kidnapping where a victim's personal safety is at stake, the flow of information is tightly controlled. So, photocopying hundreds of documents and various other tasks. Kano had barely slept the previous night and hadn't got a meal in either. What have you been doing? What have you been doing? Sasayama puffed out his chest. Saving up... wait. What have you been doing? Sasayama puffed out his chest. Saving up my energy for today. So you were sleeping? Kano gave a wry chuckle at his partner's lack of shame. There he is! Kuze's voice chirped... Wait, there he is! Kuze's voice chirped suddenly through Kano's earpiece. A man in his 20s wearing a sleeveless red jacket! He's carrying a garbage bag! Eco. A young man had emerged from the crowd about 15 feet from where Hitomi was standing. He strode towards her, a sinister look on his face. He didn't match Hitomi's description, but Kano felt a jolt of nerves all the same. Maybe the kidnapper had hired some young street punk to snatch the ransom payment. That our guy? What do you think, Kano? Sasayama whispered. Yeah, I think he's gotta be. This was it. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. He bent his knees, ready to act fast. Blood rushed to his leg muscles, banishing the stiffness that had begun to take hold. Could this be the culprit? Or perhaps... The young man tried to snatch the briefcase from Hitomi, but she clung to it with desperate strength. It was him! The detectives rushed in. Whoa! Hey, what the hell? The young man cried out frantically and tried to dart away, but the officers closed in, forcing him bodily to the ground. Target secured! Oh, geez, I think we got another suspect on the scene. Eek! He's taking the ransom! Guze's hysterics had made Kano spin around. Sure enough, there was a foreign-looking man was sprinting away, a attaché case in hand. The mob of detectives scrambled to pursue. Before Kano could react, most of them had run off, leaving him to look after the original suspect. What should I do with this guy, sir? He might have some connection to the kidnapper. Should I bring him in? Huh? Oh, sure, that'd be swell. I'm on it. With the help of one of the remaining detectives, Kano brought the suspect back to the Shibuya precinct. Look, how many times do we have to go through this? Cut the crap. In the interrogation room, the young man who gave his name as Achi Endo steadfast insisted on his innocence. Why'd you try to steal that case? Kano watched Achi's face intently. Like I said, it looked heavy, so I was just trying to help her out. It wasn't inconceivable that a young guy would want to help a pretty girl. But Hitomi had just been standing there, hardly in desperate need of assistance. She hadn't set the case down, so I figured there had to be something important inside. An entry from Dick Kano's, Dick Kano, that's his name. Kano's Dick diary shot through his mind. Can't read that seriously. Dick 25. When the tongue slips, grab it and yank out the truth. Classic advice for questioning. Something important, you say, such as the Dick diary with the Dick Dictum's baby. But this is Japanese, not Filipino, so... How the heck would I know? Achi spat. He huffed and slumped back in his chair. This standard textbook back and forth had been going on for nearly an hour. Kano didn't mind. Chasing down criminals as well was all well and good, but questioning suspects was another key part of the job. Plenty of off-the-scene work went into cracking a case. Once again, he had Achi explain what he'd been doing, starting from the beginning. When Kano finally emerged from the interrogation room for a short break, he learned that there had been some progress on the case at the crime scene. What the police hadn't been able to determine yet, however, was whether or not Maria was safe. Fighting back his anxiety, Kano consulted his Dick diary. Dick Dictum number 54. Haste makes waste. He felt his tension subside, remembering the right maxim always helped. It was like casting a magic spell. Kano returned to confront Achi once more. You were there to act as a distraction, to mess up the investigation, weren't you? Huh? Achi looked a bit dumbfounded. What are you on about? Wow. Dick Dictum 55, the truth hungers to be free. You hungry? Got some katsudon if you like. Japanese dish consisting of a bowl of white rice topped with breaded pork cutlet and egg. There are several variations, such as sauce katsudon, where the egg is replaced with Worcestershire sauce, and miso katsudon, where the pork is stewed in miso. Not typically the sort of thing a policeman offers a suspect during an interrogation. This could be seen as baiting with food, and is to be avoided. Achi nodded silently. Achi devoured the bowl of katsudon with gusto. He looked like he hadn't eaten in a while. Alright then, spill it. What's this guy after? Achi just shrugged. I don't know, he murmured, a thick slice of egg-laden pork between his teeth. How many accomplices do you have? Kano asked. But Achi just shook his head as if he as he inhaled his food. Resignedly, Kano flipped through his notebook once more. Let's see, number 115. Use the lights to your advantage. As the minutes ticked past, he found himself referring to his book again and again, trying a dozen different methods to tease out whatever his suspect might be hiding. I search an image board with the Yaoi tag. Good. We all need our own dictums. And dick downs. The experience began to feel strangely surreal, their two voices echoing hollowly in the interrogation room. Eventually, Kano looked at the clock and realized the questioning had been going on for nearly 5 hours. He still hadn't made any headway. What was he supposed to do next? Tateno would know, but he sure didn't. Still, he was determined to do whatever he could to keep the victim and family safe. Gritting his teeth in frustration, he perused the Dick Diary like it was scripture. Number 116. The monotonous questioning was clearly tiring Achi out. His eyelids drooped like they were beginning to get heavy. Number 117. Get them when they're tired. Kano's eyes gleamed. You're part of some criminal gang, huh? Achi's head slumped forward heavily. Nodding off was basically the same as nodding yes, right? My God. Mr. Kuze, I did it! The young guy we grabbed at the head-off site, he finally confessed to the crime. No, he didn't. What are you talking about? Kuze, what are you talking about? Kuze laughed in disbelief. We're just about to apprehend the mastermind here. Huh? Kano clutched his cell phone, dumbstruck. Oh. Listen, why don't you, look, just wait here at HQ, okay? No, can't be. After the kidnapping case wrapped up, Kano tendered his resignation. Guess I'm not cut out to be a detective after all, he thought to himself. He dropped the Dick Diary on his desk as he left the Shibuya precinct for the last time. Bad end. Kano wound up at a bad end. However, this does not mean that the choice you made for Kano was the wrong one. One of the other protagonists, Achi Endo, has an impact on Kano's fate here. You can avoid a bad end by making proper decisions in another character's story. For a detailed hint, check the tip by underlining the bad end title. Press X then A. Kano had hit every reason to suspect Achi Endo, but arresting him turned out to be a mistake. If Achi hadn't approached Hitomi, this wouldn't have happened. Try playing Achi's story up to 10:30 and make a choice that keeps him from going up to her. If you do that, Kano won't even have a chance to arrest him, and things should play out differently. Uh-huh. You can now select Achi Endo. Let's follow Achi's story for a little while. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Achi Endo called out at the door to his father's room. Okay, I'm headed out. Sure. His father sounded unconcerned, but he didn't even open the door. Sure you don't want me to stay here in the shop? It's not like we're gonna get any customers. Achi grimaced. Yeah, I guess not. The drawer by the front door held a stack of heavy-duty trash bags. Achi pulled a few of them out. Guess it's gonna be that kind of day. He stuffed the trash bags into his pocket, then slipped off on his favorite pair of sneakers. The entryway to Achi's home also led into the family shop. Various pieces of electronics were piled up like so much junk in the tiny retail space. The slightest bump brought the risk of an avalanche. Achi wove his way through the gaps in the appliances like a spelunker exploring a cave. From Shibuya Station, if you make your way past the 109 building and up through Dogenzaka, you'll come across an old shopping district. Nestled in its outskirts is Endo Electronics, in the same place it's been for decades. Within its dimly lit interior, you'll find rows of wares all caked in dust. At a glance, you might well assume the place was closed. A mom-and-pop place like Endo's couldn't compete with the big consumer chains booming throughout Shibuya. So far, the store had remained in business thanks to the locals who appreciated that they made house calls to do repairs. But things weren't looking good for the future. Achi, the eldest son and nominal successor to the business, had no interest whatsoever in working there. Achi stepped out of the shop and into the sunny morning air. The good weather lifted his spirits. Alrighty, time to do this. He unfurled one of the big garbage bags which caught the wind and fluttered like a cape. He slowly made his way towards Shibuya Station, scanning his surroundings all the while. Jeez, this place is filthy. He paused to pick up a plastic bottle that had been tossed on the ground. Then, with a heavy sigh, he slipped the crushed receptacle into his trash bag. He'd been picking up trash around town like this for about 6 months now. It had gotten so that the sort of garbage most people would hardly notice stood out to him like a sore thumb. Most days he'd fill his trash bag to the top by the time he'd made it from his house in Dogenzaka to the train station. Today he was halfway to the station when a woman's anxious voice caught his attention. "I'm sorry. I'm in a bit of a hurry here." He looked up and saw a timid-looking woman being confronted by 2 men, one with brown hair, one with black. From the look of them, he guessed that the men were scouts for some hostess club. He ran into this sort of thing pretty frequently on his trash-cleaning walks around town. Another kind of trash to take care of. Achi quickly interposed himself between the girl and the 2 recruiters. "Hey, can't you see that you're bothering her?" "Huh? Who the hell are you?" The 2 men glared. "Take a hike, pal." Achi stood his ground. "Look, she ain't interested. You're just gonna have to find some other mark." The hustler's annoyance turned to open rage. Well, listen to you. Got a bit of a mouth, huh, buddy?" The brown-haired thug smacked his lips around his chewing gum like a dog worrying a bone. "How about we take this someplace more quiet, yeah?" What this means can depend on the person speaking. To a young woman, let's go to someplace more quiet might suggest a cafe or a park, but to a street punk, it might mean an alley where passerbys are unlikely to interrupt. The girl stood by uneasily watching the goings-on. Hey, take it easy. I'm not looking for trouble. Is that supposed to be an apology? On your knees and beg, pal. The man spat his gum onto the ground. Achi looked down at the glistening wad of gum on the sidewalk. His last shred of goodwill vanished. You better pick that up. Right now. What? Did you hear me? Because I told you to get down on your knees and... Achi's hand shot out, grabbing the man by the jaw. Whoa! Whoa, easy, pal! The other man's bravado drained from his face. Achi tightened his grip on the brown-haired hustler's jaw. Sweat dripping from the man's reddening brow. The man struggled, but Achi just tightened his grip. Comes a real pain in the ass to clean up after it's gotten stuck to the street, you know. Ever stop to consider that? Wait, are you? The other hustler's panicked eyes had fixed on Achi's chest. Yeah! Oh crap! That shirt, man! The guy's voice was starting to break. That's Mean Clean! Mean Clean. The guy with the Mean Clean shirt. The guy with the Mean Clean shirt carrying around a trash bag? That means you're... His face went pale. Mean Clean. Mean Clean. Mean Clean. The other man echoed the words through his held-shut jaw, tears welling up in his eyes. Get it right, pal. Achi clenched the man's jaw harder still. It's Mean Clean. Ow, 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 ow. We're sorry, man. You're Achi, right? Dude, honestly, we had no idea. Come on, man, you gotta cut us some slack. The man scrambled to snatch the wad of gum off the street, stuffing it into his pants pocket. Finally, Achi let go of his companion. The brown-haired hustler's face was twisted up with fears. Tears streamed down his cheeks. Gasping out hasty apologies, the two thugs scampered off. Hey, so... A shy smile... Hey, so... A shy smile came to the girl's face. Ryoko Kakinuma, a second-year student at Midoriyama Academy's law school. These hustlers managed to corner her while she was on her way to the part-time job at a cafe. It's a popular plot in trashy e-novels for the main character to fall in love with a hustler like these guys, but such things rarely happen in real life. Thank you for saving me. No, I apologize. Huh? The girl stared in surprise. You'll run into creeps like that now and then, but don't hold it against us. Shibuya's a good town. Yeah, okay. Achi gave her a quick wave, then turned and continued on his way down Dogensaka. Achi was Shibuya born and raised. He was keenly aware of all the changes the ward had seen since he was a kid. Grocers, stalls, and inconspicuous little side streets, tiny parks nestled between buildings. Achi knew it all like the back of his hand. Trash, human or otherwise, had no place in this town. Not on his watch. Achi made his way down towards Shibuya Station. Throngs of people shuffled to and fro across the scramble. The views shifted constantly from one moment to the next, almost as if the city itself were alive. And if the city was a living thing, then Shibuya Station was its heart. With streets like Bunkamura Dori and Center Guy serving as the arteries pumping a bloodstream made of people. Today, as ever, the heart was pumping that blood to every nook and cranny of Shibuya. And there was Achi, just another part of this great urban organism. Yes, I'm one of the city's white blood cells. Or wait, maybe I'm a red blood cell. Hold on. Is that right? Did I have it right the first time? White blood cells eliminate pathogens from the bloodstream. Red blood cells carry oxygen throughout the body. Achi was probably thinking of white blood cells. What's this mean clean about? Emerging from his reverie, he noticed a rather conspicuous young woman standing by the statue of Hachiko outside Shibuya Station. Oh, she's totally my type. To be up someone's alley, to be someone's cup of tea. Wonder if she's a model or a small-time actress or something. Looks like she's waiting for someone. Probably another guy. Dang. Good-looking as she was, there was no way she wasn't already taken. What kind of guy scored a girl like that? Probably the rich-ass CEO of an IT company or something. Crouching down to tie off the trash bag, he continued gazing wistfully at the girl. Then he noticed something peculiar. She was carrying an attaché case, the kind a businessman might use. It was a large case, and apparently so heavy that she was struggling to hold it despite using both hands. You've reached a decision point. Let's have Achi not approach Hitomi. Use up and down to select an option, then press A. But first, I gotta dump this trash. He looked around to see if there was a garbage bin nearby. Now, Achi won't approach Hitomi, which means he will avoid being arrested by Kano. At the same time, Kano's fate will also change. And he will no longer wind up at a bad end, so let's switch back to Kano's store using the time chart. Press Y to open it. This is the time chart. Time chart. Time chart. You have to enunciate your words, Henry. This is the time chart. It shows the protagonist's progression through the story. Decision points are marked with God, I'm such a fucking stupid guy. Kano's fate has changed based on Achi's actions. Select Kano's 1030 block, then press A. Thank you for... I suppose you could call it that. Kano gave a wry chuckle at his partner's lack of shame. There he is! Kuze's voice chirped suddenly through Kano's earpiece. The man in the black coat. He's not Japanese. Looks to be in his early 30s. Previously, Achi got mixed up with Kano and the police, but now another man has appeared instead. By changing what Achi did, you've also changed Kano's story. A foreign man had emerged from the crowd about 15 feet from where Hitomi was standing. He made his way toward her, his expression blank. He didn't match the description Hitomi had given them, but Kano felt a jolt of nerves all the same. Maybe the kidnapper was using an accomplice to snatch the ransom payment. Alright, Sasayama raised an eyebrow. This may be our guy. This was it. This guy, yeah. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. His bent knees, ready for action. He bent his knees, ready for action. Blood rushed to his leg muscles, banishing the stiffness that had begun to take hold. Was this the culprit? Or perhaps the stranger took hold of the attaché case. It was him! En masse, the detectives began to close in. Colin. Let's go, Kano! On it! Sasayama and Kano leapt into action. But they never expected what happened next. With the case clutched in both arms, the man veered suddenly, running toward them. Keep out. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Kano's story has suddenly hit a keep out. Keep out refers to a point in the story where your progress is currently stopped. In order to advance beyond a keep out, you need to jump from another protagonist's story. At 10:30, Achi has the text, young man in a suit, as red keywords. Checking these red keywords will allow you to jump from Achi's story back to Kano's. Now, head back to Achi's story and keep an eye out for that key phrase. Approach the girl? First, I gotta dump this trash. He looked around to see if there was a garbage bin nearby. Huh? A man had come up beside the girl. He was dressed in black, and he wasn't Japanese. It looked like they were having a conversation. The girl nodded tensely at something the man said. Achi stared. Something tells me that's not her boyfriend. The girl handed the attaché case over to the man. He took hold of it with his right hand and began walking briskly away. Whoa! A nearby homeless man suddenly leapt over Achi and broke into a run, as if he'd been waiting for this very moment. Who is this homeless man? Yuji Sasayama, a detective with the Shibuya precinct, known as the cosplay detective due to the strange outfits he wears while on stakeouts. He's partnered with Shinya Kano for the kidnapping investigation. Sprinting alongside him was a young man in a suit. Some words in the text appear in red. Red text denotes an important keywords that let you jump between different protagonists' stories. This allows you to shift between characters at specific points. These can also allow you to clear out a keep out in another character's story and let you read on. If you come across red text, press X to underline it, then press A. A window will appear allowing you to jump from one protagonist to another at that point. Then press A to continue the other character's story after the keep out. Give it a try. By performing a jump from this screen, you can advance another protagonist's story past a keep out. Press A to confirm and jump over to Kano's story. Alright. Let's go, Kano. On it. Sasayama and Kano leapt into action. You did it. Jump successful. In 428, you will often need to jump to get past another character's keep out. Jump from red keywords to clear a keep out. Keep this in mind as you advance through the story. Okay, there won't be any more tutorial messages for a while. If you get stuck somewhere, try changing protagonists or making different decisions to advance. You can now use the time chart in the main menu. From the main menu, you can access gameplay explanations and adjust settings. Press Y to open the time chart. Press Start to open the main menu. But they never expected what happened next. With the case clutched in both arms, the man suddenly veered, running right toward them. What? Catching sight of the two detectives, the suspect staggered to a halt, then bolted off in a new direction. Kano whipped off his costume glasses and followed in hot pursuit. At the crosswalks, the signal changed to red and the flow of foot traffic abruptly halted. Just as quickly, hundreds of cars all lurched back into motion. There was no escape for the culprit now, or so it appeared. The converging cops slowed their pace, confident their man was cornered. Then the foreigner barreled straight into the intersection, dodging between oncoming cars without any hesitation. The mob of detectives came to a halt, not eager to rush their deaths along with him. Kano, however, remained in hot pursuit, charging into the traffic at the crossing. "Kano, are you crazy? Come back!" Kano heard Sasayama shouting, but his feet kept carrying him onward. With shouts and sirens echoing all around him, Kano closed in on the foreigner. Just a little closer, and he'd be in tackling range. He leaned forward, prepared to pounce, his eyes fixed on the culprit's feet. It was now or never. "Kano, back off." Wait, "Kano, back off! Don't take him down!" It was Kuze shouting through Kano's earpiece. "Huh?" Kano hesitated in surprise. Had he really been ordered to not apprehend the criminal? Let him go for now. The real purpose someplace else. Oh, wait. Did I press the... Wait. Oh, shit. Wait, did I just fuck up? I can adjust the brightness. Press back while reading to activate the autoplay function. Press left or right to adjust the speed of autoplay. During autoplay, press A to pause, then press A again to resume. Okay. Cancel autoplay, just press B. If you come across a decision point, the autoplay will stop. A keep out or a bad end will cancel it. Alright, I have to let this run. Allows me time to drink water. Whoops. Yes, along with him. I don't know whoever remained in hot pursuit. You crazy, come back. With shouts and sirens all around him, Kano closed in on the foreigner. Just a little closer, and he'd be in tackling range. He leaned forward, preparing to pounce, his eyes fixed on the culprit's feet. It was now or never. "Kano, back off! Don't take him down!" It was Kuze shouting through Kano's earpiece. Huh? Kano hesitated in surprise. Had he really been ordered to not apprehend the criminal? Let him go for now. The real perp is someplace else. Perp is police jargon for perpetrator. Here, Kuze is referring to the fact that the principal offender in the case must be somewhere else. What had happened to the plan? He'd been told that all personnel were to secure the area ASAP. Didn't HQ want them to catch the perpetrator? Arrest team, stay on the foreigner's trail. Police term dedicated exclusively to the task of apprehending the criminal. While the kidnapping case is in progress, the roles of officers involved are carefully designated so that every officer is ready to take immediate action as the situation develops. Typically, tried and true veteran MPD officers are put in charge of teams for breaking into buildings or apprehending the suspect. Forensic team, get busy cross-referencing photos. Team deployed by MPD to handle the actual tests and techniques of on-scene investigation, such as collecting and comparing fingerprints and analyzing photos of suspects. Even if this foreigner was only an underling hired for this one task, the police had now... even if this foreigner was only an underling hired for this one task, the police had now tipped their hand in what they'd been lying in wait. If they didn't lock things down now and get more info on the kidnapper, a girl's life might be at stake. Kano recalled another maxim from his Dick diary. Dick dictum. Dick dictum. 12. Always assume a worst-case scenario. The remote control. If Kuze told him to let this guy go, that implied he was counting on the team that was now in position. But if the crook had planned a way to break through the police dragnet and escape with the ransom, and he succeeded, what was the right call here? What was the right call here? Should he take this guy down or back off after all? Letting the perp escape now is too big of a risk. You have to catch this guy ASAP. Letting the perp escape now is too big of a risk. You have to catch this guy ASAP. The man darted down a narrow alleyway. Kano ran faster. The man sprinted through the side streets. Evidently, he knew his way around Shibuya pretty well. Eep! Someone's taken Hitomi! Kano recognized Kuze's trademark squawk immediately. Subject is male. He appears to be carrying a gun. He's fleeing in the direction of the Meiji Dori. What? Kano could hardly believe it. Hitomi had been kidnapped. Had she been abducted by whoever had taken Maria? But why? Someone must have been waiting for the moment when the police took their eyes off her. Something's very wrong here. What in the world is going on? Kano saw the road forked up ahead. The man with the attaché case ran to the left. If the man who'd taken Hitomi was heading towards Meiji Dori, there was a good chance he'd gone down one of the alleyways off to the right. Making a snap judgment, Kano told the detective behind him to follow the case snatcher, then turned and headed down the nearest alley. After darting through the side streets, he spotted a different man, another foreigner, crossing an intersection of a few dozen meters ahead. The man was dressed in black, just like the guy who'd grabbed the ransom money. Jose's right, the kidnapper wasn't acting alone. But wait, something was amiss. Hitomi wasn't with him. Where was she? Kano skidded around the corner and stopped short. The man in black was standing right there, pointing a gun at him. Before Kano could react, the man fired. Officer down. Kano felt hot all over, as if he were on fire. All except for his cheek, pressed against the asphalt, and the palms of his hands. They felt so cold. There was nothing he could do. Nothing, that is, except lie there and watch as his killer turned and walked away. Ooh. Shot by a foreigner. By trying to find the man who'd taken Hitomi, Kano ran into a different criminal, and unfortunately for him, he got shot. If the criminal hadn't been able to get near Hitomi, she probably wouldn't have been taken. Have Achi make the choice to talk to Hitomi instead. At 10:35. Whoa! A nearby homeless man suddenly leapt over Achi and broke into a run, as if he'd been waiting for this very moment. Sprinting alongside him was a young man in a suit. Then, seemingly from everywhere, a whole bunch of other guys burst into motion. First one. Then another. A third, a fourth, a fifth. Over a dozen now. What the heck? Clearly, something big was going down. Were they after the attaché case? Within moments, Achi lost sight of them through the crowd. With that many people chasing him, the guy with the case was sure to get caught. But wait. What about that girl? Achi turned back around. The girl was still there. She was staring in the direction that the man who'd taken the case had gone, a worried expression on her face. Another crazy day in Shibuya. No. Achi couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. Maybe he should talk to her and ask what was going on. But just as he was making up his mind, a middle-aged man in a ratty business suit shuffled awkwardly over to her first. Was there something wrong with one of his legs? He was using a cane to walk. Then one of his hands slipped into his jacket pocket. Achi could scarcely believe his eyes. A revolver? Colt Detective Special. A .38 caliber revolver introduced in 1927 by Colt's Manufacturing Company. A classic example of a snub-nosed revolver. As the name implies, the weapon is frequently carried by detectives, narcotics officers, and the like for special defense. With a single fluid motion, the man lifted up the gun and pointed it in the girl's direction. He was aiming right for her head. Huh? The girl had noticed the man with the cane now. Seeing the gun pointed right at her, she froze in fear. Achi didn't hesitate. Breaking into a full run, he tackled the gunman with all his might. Caught off guard, the man sprawled to the pavement. But the would-be assassin kept hold of his weapon and quickly scrabbled back to his feet. Achi knew he had to act fast. He grabbed the ashen-faced girl by the arm and attempted to drag her away. "This way!" he shouted. She just stared at him, uncomprehending, trembling like a startled animal. "Come on, run!" Finally, the girl snapped out of her daze and gave a fearful nod. "Let's just get out of here." The would-be assassin was getting back to his feet. Achi grabbed the girl by the hand. See, my thinking is that this guy is actually a detective. So, I think there's some conspiracy going on here. Run! Without so much as a backward glance, he led her beneath the railway overpass for the Yamanote line. They needed to get as far away as possible, fast. Their best bet was to head toward the east side of the station. It was less crowded there. It would need to be easier to run. "Don't worry, you can trust me." Dragging the hesitant girl behind him, he took off, running through the crowd. Suddenly, it dawned on him that he still held the trash bag in his other hand. You know, this thing's gonna be a real pain in my ass. Achi paused just long enough to toss the trash into a garbage bin as they passed by a park, then took off again. Someone shouted from behind. "Stop right there!" Achi looked back in alarm to see a stranger charging after them. It was one of the guys from the crowd who had run after the attaché case snatcher. Gotta be kidding me, now he's chasing us? Whoever he was young and fit and gaining fast. Realizing the girl could never outrun this guy, Adachi stopped abruptly. Shielding her behind him, he turned to face the stranger. Why did you run off? Because you were chasing us. The other fellow eyed Achi skeptically. Maybe he was a buddy of the man with the cane? Keeping his guard up, Achi began to back away. Look, just let the girl go. Just let the girl go. The guy was acting like he knew her. Achi glanced back, but the girl only shook her head, wide-eyed. The other man's posture shifted, preparing to lunge. But as Achi braced himself for a scuffle, something came crashing down upon the stranger's head. Ah! His eyes wobbled and spun in their sockets, and he collapsed in a heap on the ground. And there, standing behind him, was the girl he'd helped out earlier, the one he'd saved from the hustlers. Hey, you're that girl from this morning. Are you okay? Next to the fallen pursuer's form was a rather thick book. She nodded towards it. It looked dangerous, so I just threw that at him. Oh, yeah, thank you. This saves my bacon big time. It's the least I could do after the way you helped me earlier. Sure thing. You should probably get out of here before that guy comes to. Like you said, he's probably dangerous. Right. Achi scooped up the heavy book and handed it to the girl, who promptly left the scene. Now we better get out of here. The girl nodded. They started down the street, only to see the man with the cane around the corner a few dozen meters ahead. This is not good. The assassin had spotted them, and he hurried in their direction. This way! Achi led the girl into a nearby alleyway. But this way's a dead end. Wait, but this way's a dead end, the girl said breathlessly. Like I said, just trust me. Stopping abruptly, Achi kicked down a wooden plank covering a gap between the two buildings, clearing a space that a person could fit through. See, we can get away through here. In you go. But the girl just stood there, looking terrified. What's the matter? Achi asked. Come on, we gotta hurry. But I... She looked at him as if he too was about to pull a gun on her. He could hardly blame her. After all, he was just some random guy who had turned up out of nowhere. But this was no time for dawdling. The man with the cane appeared at the end of the alley. They just stood there. He was going to catch them. Okay, sweetheart, hear me out, he said in a rush. The name's Achi Endo. I live in the neighborhood and I'm not the kind to stand idly by when a girl is being chased by some killer. So please just trust me and I'll do my best to keep you safe. He hoped the look in his eyes could convince her he was being on the level. After a painfully long moment, the girl nodded her acceptance. Ugh. Right, let's start with this. They had paused behind an enormous stack of beverage crates. With a quick shove, Achi knocked the whole pile down, sending it cascading across their pursuer's path. Now that was a close call. The man with the cane was floundering, struggling to get past the fallen crates. My bad, man, Achi called out. Cleaning that up. Mind cleaning that up for me? The man scowled back at them and fumbled for his gun. Achi flashed him a wave goodbye, then slipped away between the buildings with the girl. LL? Hurrying down a narrow alley, they emerged into a side street lined with dive bars and clubs. Assuming the man with the cane hadn't give up, he would probably lie in wait on the path back to the main road. Achi decided their best bet was to try to stay inconspicuous rather than getting caught on the move. Guess we can lie low here for a bit, he said. He led the girl to the entrance of a tiny old hostess club. She followed him reluctantly. Achi flicked the switch inside the front door, and a chintzy chandelier glowed to life. He sat the girl down on a small sofa beside the counter. She gave him a worried look. Achi felt a pang of embarrassment as he realized what she must be thinking. Oh no, don't get the wrong idea. I'm not going to try any funny business. Someone I know just used to run this place. It's not in business anymore, so I figure we're safe here. The girl chuckled at his evident discomfort. All right then, she said. So we good? We're good. Okay, well, good. Achi made a vague attempt to straighten his disheveled clothes. So, how about some introductions? I'm Achi Endo, like I said earlier. You can just call me Achi. I'm Hitomi Osawa. You can call me Hitomi, I guess. With each new word out of Hitomi's mouth, Achi felt his heart sing. She was charming, personable, just about everything about her was captivating. Achi had never met another girl like her. Achi? Buh? Buh? Huh? Is something the matter? You were spacing out there for a bit. Achi shook his head to dispel his gaze. Damn it, this is no good time to get all starry-eyed. He needed to think of some way to keep her safe from the guy who was after her. Look, you can tell me what the heck is Can you tell me what the heck is going on? Please, I need to know if I'm going to help you. Right. Okay. I'm not really sure where to begin. Hitomi looked down, lost in thought. Apparently hers was a long story. All right, she said at last. I guess I'll just explain things as they happened. Wait, hold up. Could you keep it as simple as you can? I mean, I'm not really the sharpest tool in the shed. Complicated explanations ain't exactly my strong suit. Okay, Hitomi chuckled. I'll try my best. She got comfortable and then started her story. So, last night, somebody abducted my sister. The kidnapper demanded that I make the ransom handoff personally. He told me to stand by the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya at 10 o'clock in the morning to make the exchange. So I did, and this man came by and... I'm sorry, hold up a sec. Achi suddenly lost the thread of conversation. At times like this, you can press up to go back and reread what you've already seen. You can also press down to quickly scroll back through sections you've already read. A mark will appear in the upper left of the screen while you're paging back and forth like this. You can press A to reread the mark. This game is amazing. It even has an in-universe excuse for like a non-invasive tutorial on going backwards and forwards. You can press A to reread the marked page. Press up to go back and reread sections you've already played through. To scroll ahead through text you've already read, press down. When rewinding, advancing like this, a page will sometimes appear in the upper left corner. Press A while this is being displayed to reread the current page. So, last night somebody abducted my sister. The kidnapper demanded that I make the ransom handoff personally. He told me to stand by the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya at 10 o'clock in the morning to make the exchange, so I did, and this man came by and took the attaché case with the money. Then afterwards, that other guy with the cane turned up and pointed his gun at me and... Whoa, I'm sorry, hold up a sec. Achi had suddenly lost the thread of the conversation. Could you say that again, but simpler? Huh? Sure. I'm just having trouble following is all. That's totally me when I'm... Man, I wish I could see that face again. That face was totally me when I'm having trouble following the flow of the conversation. I mean, is this the plot of some movie or soap opera? No, that's not... Or some kind of hidden camera show? This is real. This really happened. The look in Hitomi's eyes was dead serious. She's got to be telling the truth. What would be the point of lying? And he had seen the attaché case and the gunman himself. How much was the ransom, if you don't mind me asking? Hitomi hesitated. 50 million yen, she said after a moment. Achi gave a whistle of amazement. The detectives told me that was a typical amount for a kidnapper to ask for. It's plenty, that's for sure. Guess there's good money in that sort of thing. As soon as the words were out, he realized his blunder. Ah, sorry, I shouldn't have put that in. I shouldn't have put it that way. He fidgeted awkwardly and Hitomi looked away. I'm an idiot. But okay, I think I get this kidnapping thing. So I'm guessing those guys who chased the guy who took the ransom were undercover cops? He replayed the scene in his head. But then, the kidnapper took the attaché case and ran, right? So if you were empty-handed, why'd that guy with the cane come after you? I'm honestly not sure. Hitomi's words trailed off. This was clearly difficult for her to talk about. Anyway, we should probably get you to the police as soon as we... No, can't do that. Hitomi's tone was resolute. Can't take this to the police. Why not? Achi waited for an answer, but none came. After a long and awkward silence, she stood up from her seat. I really appreciate the help, but I should go now. She gave Achi a deep bow. Nuh-uh, hold on. What do you mean, go? Go where? He hurried to intervene as she headed for the door. I don't want to cause you any more trouble. I'll figure out the rest on my own somehow. Hey, I said hold on! Hitomi ignored him and opened the door, and their argument came to an abrupt halt. Standing there was the man with the cane, his revolver in hand. To be continued. Oh. Achi Endo's 10 a.m. story ends here. However, Kano's story is still stuck at a bad end. This is due to one of Achi's decisions. Go back to Achi's decision point at 10:35 and change the choice he makes in order to change Kano's fate. This way, Achi's choice can help someone else. While his story remains resolved, the key to getting all the characters through to the end is to go back and change choices for characters that have already made it through the current hour of their story. The police box, let's go! Still pulling the girl by the hand, Achi headed for the police box outside the train station. But it was empty. There was always policemen staffing these things. Why did it have to be unmanned now? Achi flashed a worried glance behind him and saw the assassin pursued like a man possessed. Yikes, this is not good. There was nothing they could do but run. With the frightened girl in tow, Achi ran beneath the JR Yamanote railway overpass. I feel like this decision didn't matter. A railway loop line that services the Tokyo metropolis. Typically, the morning rush is quite intense, with the stretch from Ueno Station to Okachimachi Station sometimes crowded as high as 216% capacity, roughly 300 people riding in a space designed for 143 passengers, unrelated to the Yamate Line subway that operates in the city of Kobe. Don't worry, just trust me, he told her. But first, they sped past a convenience store where an employee was cleaning up the sidewalk. Here, take this, will ya? Achi tossed over the bag of trash. Huh? What? Wait, what? This way! They slipped through the crowd again and into a nearby back alley. But this way's a dead end, the girl said breathlessly. Like I said, just trust me. Clearing a space that wait, let's see if this is the exact same thing. Is this going to play out the exact same way? Let's see here. Live in the neighborhood. Yeah, he didn't encounter Kano. But I wonder if that decision, even the decision I made, mattered that much. Hold on, I want to get to the end of this one to see if anything changes. Embarrassment. Funny business funny. I might be playing this completely wrong. Oh, it does. Okay. So the decision here happens earlier. Okay. Another crazy day in Shibuya. They had to be shooting a scene for a film on location. It would probably make a mistake to intrude. Probably be a mistake to intrude. Yeah, I bet that's what this is. Some TV show about a kidnapping and the girl has to make the ransom handoff. And there's probably some actor lurking in the background here playing the suave, handsome detective. Achi gave a chuckle and turned away. A soothing breeze blew by as wispy clouds drifted overhead. He picked a nice day for a shoot. Smiling inwardly, he resumed his trash-picking mission. wondering what other surprises the day would hold. A few moments later, he heard a loud bang, and the scramble went into an uproar. Huh? Someone blow a tire? People were running from all directions to see what had made the sound. Oh, maybe they're shooting an action scene now. Hachi was a tad bit curious, but he strolled away from the scramble without looking back. Hachi was a tad bit curious, but he strolled away from the scramble without looking back. Maybe he'd head out to Yotsuya today to stretch his legs a bit. Yotsuya, a neighborhood of the Shinjuku ward from the southeastern part of Tokyo, located approximately 4 kilometers northeast of Shibuya Station. While the numbers 428 in Japanese can be pronounced the same as the syllables for the name Shibuya, they can also be pronounced like the syllables for Yotsuya. Additionally, April 28th is both Shibuya Day and Yotsuya Day, along with Seniors Day. Cool. It was best not to get distracted. There was trash that needed collecting. I do not see it. Low cortisol. Your future is garbage. Wow. Hachi decided to go on collecting trash because he decided the commotion in the scramble was probably just a TV shoot in progress. He'll probably have a pretty uneventful day, which is all well and good for him, but the girl was actually in danger, as he'd have discovered if he had investigated further. He missed his chance to help her out. Go back and try making a different choice. Interesting. Oh, wait. Okay. I will, I'll try to remember to ask for hints in the future if I get stuck. It's gonna take a while for me to wrap my head around this game. But I feel like, 999 gave me good practice for it. The man darted down a narrow alleyway. Kano ran faster. The man sprinted through the side streets. Evidently, he knew his way around Shibuya pretty well. The man shot out into a major thoroughfare, then bolted up a pedestrian bridge. Just where the heck was this guy heading? Halfway across the bridge, the man stopped abruptly. Cautious, Kano stopped as well. Oh my god, he looks insane. Height, roughly 190 centimeters. Age, 30s. Hair, dark brown. Clothing, all black. A moment later, the man flashed a triumphant sneer, and he held up the attaché case. Before Kano could even yell stop, it was already too late. Yes. I have been reading those so far, and I think they've been some help. It's just... The man threw the attaché case down to the roadway below. No! Panicking, Kano peered over the railing. A man on a motorcycle was waiting beneath the bridge. I've been had. Kano bit his lip hard. Damn it! Kano sprinted back down the bridge, hearing the bike's engine roar to life. He had to make it in time. Descending the stairs 4 at a time, he leapt toward the roadway, but the bike sped out of reach, and roared away in the direction of Yoyogi, leaving Kano in its dust. Looking back up at the overpass, he saw the man who'd thrown the attaché case running away. He handed the money off to someone else. He's currently on a motorcycle headed toward Yoyogi. His report to Kuze complete, Kano slumped down in dismay. The cops had played right into the criminal's hands. Now the crooks were getting away, and people's lives were in danger. Was there any greater failure for a policeman? Staring off into the distance where the man who'd thrown the case had disappeared, Kano gritted his teeth. It's another bad end. No, it's a to be continued. Oh, fuck. You finished reading both characters' stories for the hour of 10 a.m. In 428, you'll make your way through all the protagonists' stories in parallel like this. Once everyone has reached the end of a given hour, the next hour can begin. Hold up. Now the game really begins. Next time. This is the end of the tutorial for this part of the story. You can reread previous tutorial messages via the main menu. There's a lot of important info in there, so reread it closely. Now 428 has reached the 11 a.m. time block. You have 5 protagonists available. Whose story will you read first? Well, we will leave that for next time. And I would like to say thank you so very much for watching me finally start this game. I'm very excited to see how this will continue, especially with 5 characters to deal with. And the story seems pretty interesting so far. So thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody, and good night. Bye-bye.